Hey, smart people! Today, I'm going to give you some of my very best tips for spelling hard words. Learning English can be hard, but what I'll show you is fun and easy. You know, I believe that spelling is important. In fact, when my daughter was little, her second or third grade teacher said something in a parent-teacher meeting to me where I had to mentally restrain myself. She had the nerve to say, "Oh, we don't worry about spelling. After all, these kids will be growing up with spell check." Well, you may think that because you have a smartphone and easy access to spell check and other online tools that you don't need to be a good speller. Well, maybe, but I gotta tell you, when I see people who don't spell well, I think less of them. And guess what? I'm not alone. It doesn't matter whether or not you think it's fair. That's just how it is. Don't you dare try to tell me you're good at what you do in things like software development or accounting services or medicine or insurance or financial planning or engineering if you spell things wrong in your emails, your website, your letters, your promotional materials, because it shows me you aren't paying attention to the details. And in the fields I just mentioned, the details are not merely important, they are essential. So let me show you some fun and funny ways you can become a better speller instantly. First, let me pass along the advice my belated little Italian grandmother told me. She gave me 2 words that can help you learn everything and anything faster and better. Anytime you can teach someone how to learn everything and anything faster and better and do it in just 2 words, those 2 words are really important. Okay, so here's Grandma's advice on how to learn everything and anything faster and better. You ready? Pay attention. Yes, you must pay attention. Okay, so we're going to start with a list of words and pay attention to the correct way of spelling them. So I dug up a list of some of the most commonly misspelled words in the English language. I put it together over here, and you want to see something weird? At the top of nearly every list is the word misspell. Go figure. All right, so let's go through our list and see what are the techniques to be able to properly spell commonly misspelled words. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to look for patterns in different words. Yes, we're going to look for words within words and interesting patterns, anything that'll help you remember stuff. So as Grandma said earlier, pay attention. All right, so now, misspell. Well, what if you had a lady named Miss Pell? All right, well, she happens to be a pretty good speller, and she never misspells. Now, the common problem here is that people spell it with 1 S. That's what they usually do wrong. All right, let's take a look at the word balloon. Why is that misspelled frequently? Well, a lot of times people only put in 1 L. Well, if you'll notice, we've got the word ball in a balloon, and when you blow up the round kind of balloons, they certainly could look like a ball. Now, our next word is amount. Typically, what people do wrong with this one is they put 2 M's in amount. Well, if you really understand it, it is a mount. Oh, my page is coming loose over here. It's flying away. I don't want to reveal the stuff on the other list just yet. So let me tape this back up. As you can see, I am not using a green screen. All right, so a mount, it's 1 mount. All right, attendance. There's a couple of things that people do wrong with attendance. Well, one thing is they only put 1 T. And sometimes they will put E-N-C-E instead of A-N-C-E. But if you break this up, we've got the words at, 10, dance. So 2 guys in high school or 2 gals in high school talking to each other and they're going, "Hey, did you attend the dance?" "Yeah, it was at 10. They were at the 10 dance. They attended the attend dance. All right, separate. Now, You've probably seen this one before. I'm not the first one to come up with this idea. When you separate, you can see that you've got the words a rat. So you always want to separate yourself from a rat. The next one. Now, I'm going to be silly with some of this stuff, and some of the things that I tell you may resonate with you, and some of them may not. It's okay. You got to make up your own silly things about how to spell or how to use these rules. All right? If my image or my idea doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't matter. Come up with your own. So, questionnaire. What people typically do here wrong is they only use one N, and sometimes they forget the E. But if you take a look at it, you've got the word question. So imagine, I'm going to ask you a question, and then you respond. You say, got a question? Nah. Got a question? Nah. Silly. Stupid maybe. But so what? Anything that'll help you to remember the spelling. And that's really what we're going for. We're going for something that'll stay in your head, and it doesn't matter if it's silly or not. All right, let's go to the list on the other page before my sheet of paper falls down again. All right, so now, definitely. Do you like this so far? Definitely. So what's the word we've got in here? Well, you can see the word finite. You can see the words within the words. Let's look at referred. Now, I took a while to try and figure out one for this. So I saw a ref, and he wasn't a very good ref. You know, he kept getting the score wrong, kept making the calls, and he made a lot of errors. He erred. And I would never give him a recommendation. I would never refer. He would never get referred by me if I had a ref that erred. Okay, you don't like it? So what? I like it. Conscience. All right, now this is very appropriate for today's day and age, because conscience, we got people trying to con science. And this really helps you spell it, because when you really look at that word, this is a word that a lot of times people misspell quite a bit. Acceptable. Now, when I was putting together this thing, I made a mistake. And right here, I made a mistake, but you know what? It's acceptable. So where do people have the problem with this? It's the A. They put an I, and acceptable is the common spelling mistake there. Well, you can see the word accept, and I'm able to accept it. So I made a little mistake here, but you know what? I was able to accept it. And I hope you are too. Unnecessary. Here's where people mess this up. They don't put enough N's, or they put an extra C, or they don't put two S's. So this is a really tricky one. So we've got the words necessary, so let's just divide that out. So we've got unnecessary. Now the problem still is with the word necessary, because sometimes do you put one C or two C's, and is it one S or two S's? But if you look at the word, we've got the word cess, like it's a cesspool. And this word, man, oof, this word stinks. It's like a cesspool. But we don't have any cess. It's unnecessary. Handkerchief. You see that I always wear a handkerchief. And I've got lots and lots of different colors. I try to have them match my t-shirt. Lately, I've been wearing a lot of blue, but who knows what I may be doing in the future. But a handkerchief. Hey, you got a hanker, Chief? Hey, Chief, you got a hanker? Yeah, right here. A hanker, Chief. All right, so that's our first list, but don't worry. I've got more. What do they say in those infomercials? But wait, there's more. Here is the new list. All right, so take a look at some of these words. Restaurant. So you notice the AU and the word rant. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of a rest. But imagine you go to the restaurant and somebody bolts on the bill, and the waiter comes out and he's ranting, "Hey, you! Hey, you!" AU. Expense. Well, the common problem with this one is that they put a C instead of an S. Well, You could turn that S into a dollar sign. And now you see it's a very expensive expense. Privilege. Well, I am very privileged to be able to teach this stuff to you. So I feel very privileged. Privileged. Because a lot of times what people put there instead is what? Correct. An E. They put privilege instead of I am privileged. Grammar. You would think that a word like grammar would be a word that everybody would spell right. It's grammar. But you know what they usually do? They put it ER. So I see grandma. I see grandma, and grandma always had good grammar. And so she always taught me to spell right. So good old grandma. Remember, I'll pay attention. Parallel. This one, people get confused. Is it 2 R's, 1 L, 2 L's at the end? How do you do this? So split this one up. So you see we've got an A, and then we've got 2 L's that are parallel with each other. So we have, and if you can imagine, it's not exact, but it's a pair of L's. It's not 2 pairs of L's. It's 1 pair. It's a pair of L's. And there they are, a pair of L's. This is a strange word because if you say the word, or if you spell the word pronounce, it's spelled differently than pronunciation. Obviously, they're different words, but you understand my point. Well, pronunciation. This is a word a lot of times that you'll see on a spelling bee, and this one knocks a bunch of people out. Okay, so we have a nun. And she's been a nun for a long time. She's not an amateur nun. She's a pro nun. Oh yeah, she's in the pro leagues, that nun. And that nun really teaches you good pronunciation. She's a stickler on good pronunciation. All right, and one last one here for this section. Intelligent. Well, you got to be pretty intelligent to learn to be a good speller. So look at this. We've got the word in, we've got the word tell, we've got the word I, and we've got the word gent. So I'm going to be silly. I tell that gent that I'm intelligent. I tell that gent. Okay. You're not laughing? Maybe you're laughing at me. All right, that's okay too. This is part 1 of a 2-part series. And here's the bottom line. And here's what I really want you to get out of this lesson. And that is, you can make up your own rules. You can make up your own techniques to come up with how are you going to recall how a word is spelled. All we did was get silly with the words, and I looked for patterns. Get this, we're looking for patterns. And when you see the patterns, even if you have to make up your own pattern because it's something that you can relate to from your own experience, then you'll have that much of a better chance of remembering how to spell those hard words. They may not be hard for everybody. Sometimes they're just hard for you. So thanks for being here. Please join me in part 2. And you know my catchphrase, everything I teach does take a little bit of work and effort. Always remember that the fastest way to get to the top is what? Of course, get off your bottom. All right. If you like this, please make sure you subscribe. Hit the little bell icon to be notified every time I release a new video. And I will look forward to seeing your smiling faces on my next video.